welcome back to the Nifty Knowledge YouTube channel. Today's video is going to be on Pokemon Go and some of the future updates that are coming and how I think they should be solved. Now, this video isn't going to talk about things like Ditto breeding, as a Ditto hasn't even been caught yet. It's mainly going to talk about three main things that have been suggested and even said are going to be put into Pokemon Go that are currently not in the game. These three things are trading Pokemon, player versus player battles where you can challenge other trainers to see whose Pokemon are better, and then leveling of individual Pokemon without using the candies. Now, the first of these that the video is going to address is the PvP system, which is rather simple. It's most likely just going to be a system link between you and another player where if you're within the range of your player, the same way as if you see a Pokemon, if you're within that range, you can choose to fight that player and both people must accept. The only unique thing about this is going to be if there is a wager system involved. In the original Pokemon games, when you beat a trainer or a trainer beat you, in-game money was exchanged. It would be curious to know if you're able, I would assume that it's not going to give you just, you have to wager coins to be able to battle. You should be able to battle your friends for fun. But I'd be curious to know if you're able to wager coins against opponents should you choose. More than likely, the Pokecoins would be used should wagering in these PvP battles be allowed, but it would also be nice to know if you're allowed to use Pokemon, if you're allowed to, say, put up Pokemon against each other and then the winner takes home both Pokemon. That would be just an interesting feature to see put in. The next addition is a bit more difficult if you think about it, and that would be for leveling Pokemon. Pokemon that you don't want to just spend Stardust and candies on to level, if you want to just level them in the wild fighting Sparrows and Ratatats that you're never going to catch. Now, this seems pretty straightforward. It would most likely just be you get the option to either fight or catch these things. Similar to in Pokemon, you get the option to either go into your bag and to use a Pokeball, or you can attack. However, if you think about it, this isn't the only thing that needs to be included if you're allowing Pokemon to fight each other. When your Pokemon fight, one is going to lose health, maybe multiple depending on how many you send out to fight the Pokemon that you're trying to get experience from. And if it loses health, you need to use potions or revives on it. However, they're not currently features like there are in the Pokemon games where you can just go to a healer and heal your Pokemon back up for free. It is possible that the potential venture to allow places to opt in to be Pokestops would be a solution to that, where a company can pay to either be a healing center, a Pokestop, or they can pay to be a place where Pokemon spawn. Something like that's a rather simple solution. However, if this is something that's left out, you're left using your potions, which you would have to go to Pokestops to get, and increasing the amount of Pokestops could make it a renewable quantity, but if you're fighting Pokemon a lot more than you are going to Pokestops, it's going to run out very fast, the amount of potions that you have to heal and revive your Pokemon. Either way, this is a relatively small idea as it's a pretty easy fix. You could even just include more potions at Pokestops and guarantee that you get 3 or that the Pokestop heals your Pokemon when you go to it. It's a pretty small issue that can easily be fixed. It's just something that might be overlooked initially. The third feature, trading, that is going to be added into the game is going to be one of the most difficult questions for them to answer, as there are 3 ways they can go about it pretty much, and none of them are really good for the company. Now, the 3 things they can do are pretty much to not add it, go back on what they've suggested they're going to do and even said putting it in the game, and just not add it, saying that it's too difficult or it's too much of a process, or they can't even do it with the program that they have right now. They could implement it so you have to physically meet up with the person and be within the range like you do, similar to getting a Pokestop. You can search nearby players through a different filter and interact with them that way, or you can add friends on it and then trade with your friends over phones. Now, not putting trading in the game is an option they could go by. However, a lot of people expected it was an option in even the DS system. You could system link and trade Pokemon between PCs in it there. It's something that a lot of people would like, because if I get a level 500 or a 500 CP Pinsir and my friend doesn't have any, and I already have a level 700 one, I'm just going to give him the Pinsir so he can have it. And it's just a nice thing for you to do with friends. Another option is to put an online friend base where you can add people and you can trade with them if they're added onto your friends list. This is a good system, as you can easily add your friends and interact with them. However, it does promote issues like which are coming up with Steam, which is why I say the game may be hesitant to add an online friend base. You're seeing with Steam that gambling sites were taking advantage of the fact that you could trade with friends, you can trade with people in an open system. Allowing users to be able to add anyone on their list allows potentially for gambling to emerge with it, or any other nefarious sort of thing where people are breeding or somehow duplicating Pokemon and then selling them for real money, which even with any sort of agreement saying that you won't do it with the app. You have seen again through Steam and Counter-Strike that the people are going to be willing to do this and try and set up companies for as long as they can before they get barred from it. Now, a way to combat having potentially gambling sites emerge from it on an open system to anyone being able to add anyone from anywhere is that you just make it so you have to be within a certain distance, like a Pokestop, to be able to add people. However, there are also issues with making it direct to connect where you're with someone that you're near. For starters, the Pokemon that are available in exclusive countries, it would mean that you would have to physically travel to that country, or someone would have to physically travel to you to be able to trade them, which, while that is kind of realistic, that's also very unfortunate for the people who actually want to catch them all. There are other issues that come up with person-to-person meetups, especially with it attracting a very young audience. It has already been seen how people with bad intentions have used lures, an item in the game that allow you to attract Pokemon to Pokestops, have used them in Pokestops that are placed in rather poor locations, not poor physically, just in bad locations that are rather dark and easy for the people who use these lures to set up and then rob people who go attempting to catch Pokemon at these lures at later hours in the day. Using the trading system to meet up person to person could cause people to meet up for bad things, like someone could say, hey, I have this Charizard I'm looking to trade for your thing that's slightly worse, but you think that you're getting advantage because you think the person just doesn't understand the Pokemon. The person could say, hey, let's meet up here, we have to meet up later because I have work, and then meet up and rob you when you get there, steal your phone and wallet. Now, worse things than this could happen with physical meetups. However, it looks like that is the approach that Niantic is going to take with it. In the release statement by their CEO, they even stated that they intended for this to be like a flashback game with a lot of the similar features, and in order to trade in the Game Boy versions of it, in the earlier versions of Pokemon, you had to do a physical system, like you had to be near the person and then trade with it. This also allows for person-to-person trade evolutions where you can trade with someone and then trade back. Now, either way, allowing it to be done over the internet, adding friends, or it being done person to person, there are more than likely going to be several lawsuits filed against the company, as there already have been with people trespassing or getting hurt walking into traffic playing the game, and that's pretty much unavoidable if you add trading in. I personally feel like it'd be a much safer bet to go with the online you add a friend to trade. It allows people to go and trade Pokemon that are region exclusive. You can get Kangaskhan, that's one I can think of for now, from a friend that's overseas when you live in America, where you cannot currently. I think that while a gambling scene or a scene that attempts to make profit off of the game may develop, it would be very easy for them to shut down, and it'd be very easy for them to keep from emerging in the first place. Is something like this, it's not even being done through a computer, it's being done through a mobile phone, which would be much easier to stop it and must be much easier to hand out cease and desists. I think if you were doing person-to-person meetups, you would get many cases of the game attempting to instigate these crimes, and I think that in some cases the company may end up actually losing out and having to pay over stuff, especially if they encourage trading, even with warnings saying be careful, make sure the person has the Pokemon that you're trading for and they don't have anything nefarious going on with them. I think the company would lose several lawsuits if they were to do a person-to-person meetup and trading. Now, in the comments, I'd like to hear what you guys think about these impending updates for Pokemon Go, if you like all of them, if you think some of them should be avoided, or if you think anything different than I did, as always. If you enjoyed what you saw here, I encourage you to check out my other videos and subscribe for more content. Hopefully I taught you guys something nifty.